Hello, my name is Nora Charles, and today I will be presenting my assessment of the teen space at Grandstaff Library on Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State. Rather than evaluating the young adult collection itself, this assessment will focus on how the space is within the library, the teen spaces within the library, its furnishings and layout, available technology, staff access, evidence of teen ownership, and how effectively the space functions as an environment designed specifically for teens. My recommendations are based on my observations of the space and supported by current literature on teen library services. Following the assignment requirements, all recommendations use the existing furniture, fixtures, and equipment already available in the library. So this is Grandstaff Library. The library serves active duty service members, military families, retirees, Department of Defense civilians, and other authorized patrons. Because military communities experience frequent relocations, the library not only provides a source of information, but it also provides recreation and community connection. So let's go ahead and go inside and look at the teen space and see how it fits within the overall library. So as we enter the building, I was unable to take a picture of this because I was asked not to, but immediately to the right is the Book Patch Children's Library. So this is kind of a Carnegie model, two wings. And the Children's Library has its own doors, its own sign, its own librarian, its own space. It is completely separate from the remainder of the library. And so as you walk past that, you enter a little corridor, and off to the left, you'll have your service point, and then off to the right, you'll have this room here. And I say room, it's kind of a big space. The entire library itself is just a very large, long space that is kind of divided up with the shelving units. So in this space, you'll see lots of fun stuff. There's chessboards set up. There's large chess game on the ground. There's computers. There are video games on the shelves. There are board games on the shelves. There's a 3D printer off to the right-hand side that we can't see. It's not within the picture. But you can see like lots of natural lighting, huge windows, and that follows throughout the entire library. In fact, much of all of the library looks almost exactly like this, just with different furniture put in it. And as you walk in, you would think this must be the teen space. There's a lot of things here that teens would like. But indeed, it's not the teen space. I am not sure why, but the teen space is much, much further back. So again, I could not take a picture from the front for whatever reason. So this picture is kind of giving a view of just how far away the teen space is from the entrance. So in this picture, I'm standing in the teen space just as you enter, well, a little ways into it. And as you can see, there's some soldiers doing some stuff on computers there, and just past them toward the entrance is where the service point is. So you can see that this teen space is kind of pushed to the back of the library. It almost feels out of sight, out of mind. The teens that would be using this section of the library have to go all the way back up to the front anytime that they need help because there is not a dedicated teen librarian. So they use the same service point as everyone else within the adult library. As you can see, there is no, right there, kind of where those chairs end, and that last door is open, is the entrance to the teen space. And you can see that there's no sign stand that says, this is the teen area for ages, 13 to 17 or what have you. You just kind of meander into this space. It looks the same. Everything is essentially the same. There's nothing that differentiates it. And I feel like because it's not in a separate room, it could be difficult. And just because I have the knowledge of having been in so many military buildings, generally they don't, um, everything looks the same. Even when you walk into the children's library, same flooring, same brick, just different stuff on the walls. Um, and so there's really nothing here that sets it apart that says, hey, you're now in the teen section, with the exception of the infamous neon teen sign. Now, when I walked into the library, that sign's about, I'd say it's about 12 feet up. Um, that sign is visible from the front door, from the service point. However, I had to ask where the teen section was. I guess I just wasn't looking up high enough. Um, but as you can see, this teen section has fantastic natural light. There's literally both sides are just windows. And there's skylights above. There is the, overhead lighting. Um, and we live in Washington State, so in the winter it's dark at like 4 p.m. The lighting could be better though. It is a bit harsh. It's very bright. It's very kind of um, school-like, I guess. Um, and so they could have done a little bit better with the lighting, but we're working with what we got. As you can see in this area, it is a massive space. There is lots of room. The entire young adult collection surrounds the teen area on three sides. And so anywhere you are within the teen section, you can look around and see different types of books, different genres. So it makes browsing quite easy. Um, Now, when you're looking at this area, you can see that everything is mobile. The chairs are mobile, the tables are mobile, the partitions in the back are mobile. Everything within this teen section was on wheels, which is fantastic. It allows for flexibility. Um, and I really, really like that. Again, here's our signs. Um, I kind of want to show you guys like when I say that there was really nothing that differentiated it, this was it. Um, and then of course this one little piece of artwork, which is the pages flying out of the book, and a couple of posters. All the posters had to do with reading. And then we have a sad little tree over here in the corner. Um, and then another poster, again, read, read, read. And then the only programming poster that we had, or flyer, anything, that was within the teen section was for the summer reading program and what the top prize was. So clearly encouraging reading, which is fantastic. Um, and then we have our furniture. This is kind of an up close of the furniture. And you can see all of the furniture was kind of like jammed into one little section. Um, And because there isn't a teen services librarian, there's no one really there to tell kids like, oh, just pull the tables wherever you want them. Um, and because everything kind of looks prim and proper and clean, and set up a particular way, that might be a little off-putting. Like I know as when I was a teen, um, I didn't want to move stuff because I didn't want someone to be mad at me for moving stuff because I didn't know if I should move it, if I could move it. And so not having that dedicated service point, um, I think really kind of is a downside to this. And that is a recommendation that I would make. I would say that there should be a teen services librarian, or at the very least, a service point back in this area. And so you can see all of the tables and chairs. They're one butt chairs. I believe that was in one of our readings. Uh, they aren't soft, they're not cozy, they're very upright. Um, sure, they move, um, And the tables are ADA compliant. I mean, wheelchairs can fit at them, um, and that kind of stuff. But it's just not a very inviting space. And so there's no, this is the furniture. This is the entire furniture for the entire teen area. You can see in the back corner there's two softer chairs, and then in just a second we'll look in the gaming area. Um, but there's no kind of uh, soft or alternative or loungy furniture in the entire teen section. And personally, I think the furniture, while it's fine, if it was maybe separated out a bit, or really if there were resources within the teen section so that kids could know what the tables are used for. Because right now it's kind of just like, oh, I sit there and I read a book, or maybe they use them when they have a class. Um, there's no real defined reason for them to be there. Like I said, if you want to get a board game, you have to go all the way to the front, go pick out the board game, check it out, bring it back. Um, there's no arts and crafts supplies within this section. Every single thing, even the video games that we'll talk about in a minute, you have to go to the front and check them out first. And so this is the gaming area. I believe in total there were 8 stations set up. You can see the chairs are a bit more relaxed and kind of soft and cozy in this section. But again, still, they're just kind of one person chairs. And that was something that was kind of hit on over and over in the reading, was that the seating should allow for the way that teens want to use seating. And having 3 teens at home, um, I can tell you that my teens do not generally enjoy sitting upright all the time. Um, but again, all of this stuff is on wheels. Everything can be moved. It can be separated throughout the space. It wasn't cramped in here. I feel like for as big of a space as they have, it was a little cramped. And you can see the partitions here kind of block off that space. It was one of the only spaces within the teen section that I felt like, oh, I know what is supposed to happen there. I could just look at it and know. Now, those video games were the only technology aside from this charging station within the entire teen section. Um, and as you can see, this charging station is just kind of hanging on one of the bookshelves. It does not have very long cords. You could roll a chair over to it, but it was a bit higher up. So you weren't going to sit there and use your phone while it was charging. And there's kind of like a little shelf there where you can set your phone on the front. Um, but generally speaking, um, I know most adults don't like to just leave their phone charging um, unattended. And so I can't imagine teens who really love their phones would be much different in that aspect. And then over here, we have our reading nook. Um, and this reading nook here is kind of in a very odd space. It is still within the teen section, um, but it's right on the edge. So right to the right of that gray chair, there's kind of like a little brick partition there. Directly on the other side, and on the other side of this bookshelf, is the adult collection. And so while I was there doing my tour and doing my assessment, there was at one point 2 adults sitting there doing a job interview. And so I had uh, I had gone back up to the front and I said, I just have a question. It's summer. There were no teens in there at all. I said, is there not an age range for the teen section? And to which I was told, well, it isn't our job to police what children read, and so anybody can use the teen section. And I said, well, I understand the books, and the, whatever's back there in that regards. However, um, what about the seating, the gaming, the reading area? And I was told that it's for use by all patrons. So essentially, at that point, the teen section really just became an extension of the rest of the library. It was a teen section in name only. There's and really, there's nothing in that whole section that screams teens frequent here. Teens, this is their space. And so, in that sense, I feel like one of my biggest recommendations is a policy change, is for them to say, this space is dedicated to this age range. But indeed, I was told, well, most of the people who play the video games are parents with younger children or single soldiers who are, between 18 and 24. Um, and so that was kind of a little disappointing, or a lot disappointing, really. Um, and as you can see here too, the shelves, like I said before, the entire collection wraps around. So the collection becomes the border. Um, and I just feel like there could have been some, and one of my recommendations is to put signs up that allow people to know that they're entering this teen space, and what the purpose of the teen space is for, and who the teen space is for. Um, but for sure, upon talking to the librarians, they don't want to leave stuff out because teens don't use it appropriately. Um, and so that's why there's no board games there. That's why there's no video games there. That's why there's no arts and crafts stuff. Then, they can come up, they can check it out, and then they know who had it. And so, like Bernier had said in the chapter that we read, you know, you, you're kind of then taking those services away. You're making them harder for one specific age group to be able to use them, and that's not fair. And so that is my presentation of the Grandstaff Library. In the end, my major takeaways were it was a teen library or teen space in name only. Um, there was nothing that showed teen ownership. There was no advisory board stuff. There was no um, kind of artwork from teens. There was nothing that screamed, "This is my space. This is a teen space." Um, and while the furniture was decent, um, I don't feel like it was used as well as it could have been. And that was one of my recommendations, to go ahead and move the furniture around, put some of the board games back there. Um, you know, have resources so that you don't have to go all the way back up to the front of the library. One thing I also forgot to note within the presentation, there is, right as you enter the teen space coming down that corridor, there is a conference room right outside of the teen space. And so, of course, they have a sign up in front of that that says, "Conference in session, please be quiet." So, you know, it's just really, it's not a it's not a great space. The space itself is great. It's just not used appropriately. And certainly not for teens. Anyway, thank you for listening. And have a great day.